There are people who genuinely prefer their own company, who turn down invitations not because they're busy, but because staying home sounds better, who can go days without talking to anyone and feel completely fine, who find social interaction draining instead of energizing, and everyone around them has an opinion. You need to get out more. That's not healthy. You're isolating yourself. You're going to regret this when you're older. But if you enjoy being alone too much, psychology actually says something very different than what most people think. And it's not always a problem. So today, we're breaking down what it actually means when you prefer solitude. Let's go deeper. First, let's be clear about what we're talking about, because there's a difference between enjoying alone time and only enjoying alone time. We're talking about people who genuinely feel most like themselves when they're alone, who recharge in solitude, who don't feel lonely when they're by themselves, who cancel plans and feel relief instead of guilt, who can spend entire weekends without human contact and feel energized, not isolated. This isn't about occasionally needing space. This is about preferring space, about finding peace in solitude that you can't find anywhere else. And psychology has a lot to say about this. Some of it might surprise you, but start with the most obvious one. The introverts. If you enjoy being alone, there's a good chance you're introverted. And before anyone says, "But I can be social when I need to be," that's exactly what introverts say. Introversion isn't about being shy or socially anxious. It's about where you get your energy. Introverts recharge alone. Extroverts recharge with people. That's it. When introverts spend too much time socializing, even if it's pleasant, they feel drained. Their battery runs low. And the only way to recharge is solitude, quiet, no one needing anything from them. So if you enjoy being alone, psychology says, you might just be wired for solitude. Your nervous system functions best with less stimulation, fewer people, more space. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but here's what people get wrong. They think introverts are antisocial. That's not true. Introverts can love people. They just love them in smaller doses, with breaks in between. Now let's talk about the second group, the highly sensitive people. If you enjoy being alone, you might be what psychologists call an HSP, a highly sensitive person. About 20% of the population falls into this category. HSPs process everything more deeply. Sounds, lights, emotions, social dynamics, other people's energy. Their nervous system picks up on subtleties that others miss. And this is exhausting. Being around people isn't just draining for HSPs, it's overwhelming. Even positive interactions feel like too much input, too much to process, too much stimulation. So they retreat to solitude, not because they hate people, but because their system needs recovery time. Being alone isn't isolation for them, it's regulation. It's how they process everything they absorbed from the world. If this is you, psychology says, your need for alone time isn't a flaw. It's your nervous system protecting itself from overstimulation. And honoring that need is actually self-care, not selfishness. Now let's get into the third reason, and this one's more complicated. The one's escaping something. Sometimes enjoying being alone too much isn't about personality or sensitivity. It's about what you're avoiding. Maybe social situations trigger anxiety. Maybe you've been hurt by people and solitude feels safer. Maybe you're depressed and isolation has become comfortable. Maybe you're avoiding intimacy because vulnerability feels dangerous. Psychology says if you prefer being alone because being around people feels actively painful, threatening, or anxiety-inducing, that's not preference. That's avoidance. And here's the difference. Healthy solitude energizes you. Unhealthy isolation protects you, but also limits you. Introverts choose solitude and feel recharged. People avoiding connection choose solitude and feel safe but also stuck, lonely but too anxious to reach out, wanting connection but unable to trust it. If you're in this category, psychology says, your love of being alone might be masking social anxiety, trust issues, or depression. And those things deserve attention, not just acceptance. Now let's talk about the fourth type, the ones who've outgrown their circle. Sometimes you enjoy being alone too much because the people available to you just aren't your people anymore. You've grown, evolved, changed, and your social circle stayed the same. So now, hanging out feels like wearing clothes that don't fit. The conversations feel shallow, the activities feel empty, the connection feels forced, and being alone feels better than being around people who don't really see you, who knew the old version of you but don't understand who you're becoming. Psychology says, this is actually healthy solitude. You're not antisocial, you're just between communities, in transition. And choosing authentic solitude over inauthentic connection is a sign of growth, not a problem. The issue isn't that you enjoy being alone, it's that you haven't found people who make not being alone worthwhile yet. And then there's the fifth group, the ones who genuinely just prefer their own company. Some people enjoy being alone not because they're introverted or sensitive or avoiding anything or between communities. They just like it. They like themselves. They enjoy their own thoughts. They're genuinely content in solitude. These are the people who don't feel like anything's missing, who aren't lonely, who have rich inner worlds, who use alone time for creativity, thinking, learning, growing, who find other people interesting, just not necessary. And society really struggles with this, because we're taught that humans need constant connection, that alone time should be temporary, that if you're too comfortable being alone, something must be wrong with you. But psychology says, some people are just wired for solitude. They're self-sufficient, autonomous, comfortable in their own minds. And as long as they're not isolating out of fear, as long as they can connect when they want to, there's nothing wrong with preferring to be alone. In fact, people who are truly comfortable alone tend to have better relationships because they're not connecting out of neediness. They're connecting out of genuine desire. So here's what psychology actually says. If you enjoy being alone too much, if you're introverted, you're just wired differently. Honor your energy needs. If you're highly sensitive, your nervous system needs more recovery time. That's biology, not a flaw. If you're avoiding something, explore what's underneath the preference. Solitude is healthy. Isolation from fear isn't. If you've outgrown your circle, you're in transition. The right people will make connection worthwhile again. If you're genuinely content alone, that's actually a sign of psychological health. Self-sufficiency is strength, not dysfunction. The question isn't, do you enjoy being alone too much? The question is, why do you enjoy being alone, and is it serving you or limiting you? Because solitude can be healing, creative, necessary, and beautiful, or it can be a hiding place, and only you know which one it is.